So Ryan Walters, the superintendent out in Oklahoma, is back at it again, and this may be the most ridiculous thing that he's said yet. First, he wanted the Ten Commandments to be placed in every classroom. Then he wanted the Bibles to be taught in school. And now he wants to make sure that children aren't targeted for waving an American flag. Kids should be allowed to be patriotic and love their country. And if they want to come to school and wave a flag, they should be allowed to. And to all those evil liberals out there who won't let a kid wave a flag, we're going to make sure that our kids can wave Old Glory. I wished I was making this up, but this is how ridiculous it truly is.
People in Oklahoma should tell students they can't wave an American flag. We've had Americans die for that flag. Die for students to have the right to carry the flag, to wave the flag, to be proud of that American flag. My department right now is working on guidelines that we will be issuing to districts to ensure that no student is ever targeted for having an American flag, and also that our schools will promote patriotism. We want our young people to be patriotic. We want them to love this country, and we're going to continue to support our young people to have the greatest understanding of American history in the country and to be proud of our country.
So I realize that the people that watches my channel, the majority of you, I'm sure, are progressive and liberal-minded, or you're at least independent, or you're just a Maga troll here to see what I'm going to say about this. Either way you slice it. If you lean to the left and you have a liberal or progressive mindset, or you vote Democrat or whatever, when you drop your kids off in the morning, are you concerned about some kid waving a flag? I know I'm not. I know it's never came up in my conversation with my fellow progressive and liberal friends. I've never had a moment where we sat around and said, hey, let's stop that kid over from wearing that flag on his shirt. Yeah, let's go over here and let's stop that kid from waving a flag. Oh, he's the enemy. I've never had that conversation. I don't know what world that conversation happens. I'll tell you one thing I'm worried about him waving around. I'm worried about him waving around a gun in there. That's what I worry about every morning when I go. I don't worry about some kid waving a flag. And if I did see some kid waving a flag, I'd just be like, there goes a kid waving a flag. I would never run into the principal's office and be like, hey, stop that kid from showing his American pride. This guy is so over the top ridiculous, and he's so over the top extreme, and everyone should be shouting it down, whether you're Democrat, Republican, progressive, conservative, atheist, Christian, it doesn't matter. This is the type of bullshit and rhetoric that everyone should be shouting down, because none of us should want anyone putting their form of religion or their brand of patriotism over onto us. And I promise you, I go back to this point every time when we're talking about this weirdo. If some gay kid comes through the door tomorrow waving an American flag and saying America is all about just being proud of who you are, I am gay and I'm here and I'm happy, and that's what America means to me, I bet you money Ryan Walters would have that kid in the office in no time flat. Let a trans kid walk in and say, hey, I'm an American and I identify however I want to, and wave his flag around and see how far they get. It's absolutely ridiculous, because we know they wouldn't get far. We know that when Ryan Walters, they're both the same thing. But Ryan Walters, when he wants people waving a flag, he wants them waving the flag and having every viewpoint and every belief that he does. This isn't about diversity to this guy, and it's not about patriotism. It's about control. And what he does is he creates these phony and fake culture wars and convinces his flock that he's fighting for them, and it's all bullshit. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book that conservative politicians use. They go out there and they take a stance that's unconstitutional, and they know it is before they take it. They know it is. They know that the federal government will strike it down. So they preach against the federal government every day. They talk about how bad the federal government is and how there should be smaller government, limited government. The government shouldn't be allowed in your life. Then they go out here, they take this stance that they know is unconstitutional, and they fight for it. And they stand up and say, I'm fighting for you, and I'm fighting for your beliefs, and I'm fighting for your patriotism, blah, blah, blah. And then when they lose in the courts, they come back out and they say, I fought a good fight for you, but that evil federal government, the one you don't need in your life, they put a stop to me. And it's a form of surrender under protest. They do that in a way that makes it look like they went down fighting for something, when in reality, they really weren't fighting for anything other than their own agenda. But Ryan Walters is not only all about the Bible and the Ten Commandments and the flag, but he doesn't want parents Well, he doesn't want there to be any unions whatsoever amongst the teachers. He wants to just turn it over to everybody's mamaw. So take a look at this.
Of moderate Republicans have partnered with Democrats. These are folks that want pornography in your kid's school. These are folks that don't want the Bible in school. They have been attacking Christianity. These are folks that do whatever the teachers' unions tell them to, and they want to bring back an era of the teachers' union controlling our schools. We're not going to allow that. We're going to continue to put parents and grandparents in charge of their kids' education. We're going to continue to put Oklahoma on a path to be successful in education. So I will never back down to moderate Republicans partnering with Democrats to try to overturn the will of the people. We're not going to allow it.
So he doesn't want teachers to be able to unionize at all. He wants to turn it over to the parents and the grandparents and let them make the decisions for what their kids learn in school. Okay, so if I have a kid, if I move to Oklahoma tomorrow and I take my kid to Oklahoma schools and I go in and I say, I want my child to be taught evolution. I want my child to be taught critical race theory. I want my child to be able to use whatever pronouns they want to. Is Ryan Walters going to be okay with me? You turned it over to the parents there, Ryan, so can I come in with my viewpoints? No, that's what is so annoying about this dude. That's why he gets under my skin and annoys the crap out of people like us, is because we realize that it's not about the Bible to Ryan Walters. It's not about the flag, folks. It's not about patriotism. It is about control. And it is about pushing an agenda on everyone else and then sitting back and gaslighting us and telling us that it's us that's the groomers. Because that's all they have at the end of the day. They're going to sit back and they're going to gaslight people like me and you, tell us we're the groomers, and yet they want to control everything your kid does and says. But I promise you, if the kid had a different interpretation of the Bible, or the kid had a different idea on what patriotism means, Ryan Walters would be calling them into the office and having a conversation with them and trying to twist them around to his way of thinking. That's why this type of rhetoric is so dangerous, and that is why we have the separation of church and state. That's why it's there. It was put in place because of people like Ryan Walters. I keep wanting to say Jesse Waters today. Sorry, I'm just having a moment. But again, they're the same person. But that's the problem. That's why we have the separation of church and state. That's the whole reason it was put there, is so someone can't get a hold of the Bible and a hold of the flag and teach it to the kids the way they see it. That stuff should be left at the door. When a kid goes to school, it should just be simply getting an education, and the teacher should have every tool there to make sure that they can give your kid the best education possible. And it shouldn't be about trying to groom a kid one way or the other. Education and learning is not grooming, by the way. Grooming is taking kids to a building and telling them that there's an invisible man in the sky who created you in 6 days. You was perfect and holy until a talking snake messed the whole world up. And you have to believe that that invisible man sent his son down here to die for your beliefs. And if you don't believe that, then he's going to send you to hell, where you're going to suffer and torture and choke and burn for all of eternity because he loves you. I stole that from George Carlin, but that's what grooming is. Grooming is not learning 2 + 2, okay? Grooming is not learning American history the way that it happened. Grooming is not learning science the way that it really is. That's not grooming. That's just learning facts, and that's what kids should be going to school to do. And he's just pushing this radical right-wing agenda and trying to act like he's fighting for something and try to make people think he's fighting for them. He's not. He's fighting for an extreme agenda that is not, there's nothing American about it, folks. There is nothing American about what Ryan Walters is doing here.